Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Exotical Storytime series. This is a series where we tell the stories of the women who are a part of the core audience here on YouTube. Now that we've got tens of thousands of women from all different backgrounds following this channel, I'm so glad that we get to finally have our life stories heard. By the way, if you have an Exotical Storytime that you want us to talk about, please email me at exoticalsunited@gmail.com. This girl says, "Good morning, EU. Let me just start by saying I've been rocking with your channel since the beginning. I'm so grateful that you are allowing fellow Exoticals to share their real-life experiences through Storytime. Here's mine." And then she gives the side eye. She says, "On June 29th, 2024, I had a practically nasty run-in with an unambiguous black woman. She was darker skinned, in the grocery store. I stopped by the store to pick up some juice for my family reunion, and I was accompanied by my mother and son. I'm a very observant person, and I peep the energy of any space before I make a move. I walked ahead of my mother and son to go to the checkout line. There, I was met with the most bitter jealousy I have felt since high school. There was an unambiguous black woman in front of me in line. I stood back because she abruptly backtracked and stepped out of the line. Unsure if she forgot something, I stood in place. That's when she turned around and yelled, 'You can go! The fuck you waiting for? Light-skinned bitches get on my damn nerves.' These statements were immediately followed by her flinching at me as if she was going to assault me. Mind you, I don't know this lady from a hole in the ground, and I called myself being courteous by not rushing to take her place in line once she stepped away in case she did forget something. In closing, Exoticals should completely dismiss the narrative of unambiguous black women when they claim dark-skinned women aren't jealous of mixed or lighter-skinned women. Y'all probably have bad attitudes and think you're better than everyone. Y'all ain't important enough for us to care about what you do. Unambiguous black women strangers have done similar rude and hateful things of this nature to me several times throughout my life, but never to this extent. All I did was quietly approach the checkout line and wait my turn. Being a member of the Pretty Girl Club really disturbs the demons in some of these women. Kind regards." Wow. Unfortunately, I am not surprised. I've actually had a similar experience myself. This was when I first moved to a predominantly African-American city, and I remember I was standing in line and I was waiting at the pharmacy. You know how like sometimes at the pharmacy when you're waiting for medicine, there's not an actual line. It's just you're kind of standing in a semicircle. So I remember one time I was actually standing in the pharmacy, and this one lady, she happened to be a very older woman, and she was African-American, unfortunately. She randomly started cussing me out, thinking that I had cut her in the line, when in reality, I was just waiting for my stuff. I was waiting to get my pharmacy stuff. And I'm not surprised at all. I even talked about it on Patreon, too, about how this other girl, so the other girl, she was actually Nigerian. She did a similar thing with me where I was standing in front of her, and she was just like, "Move out of the way." And she called herself like kidding, quote unquote. And then later on, she admitted that I supposedly looked like her high school bully. So I have had multiple scenarios like this as well, where sometimes women have lashed out at me randomly because maybe I look like someone that they were bullied by, or I look like someone that triggers them emotionally, or they just don't like how I dress. I noticed that in the case when I was at the pharmacy, I happened to be wearing a dress and high heels that day, so I don't know if that could have played into it as well, kind of like maybe I look like some stuck-up girl that's trying to cut people in line or something, even though I wasn't even in the line. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not surprised. And this is also why I do my best to try to stay in spaces where I don't feel like I'm going to deal with any jealousy or anything. Because I've had women who were pretty and they would be mean, or like I've been in classy spaces as well, and then somebody will be mean, whether she's black, white, or any other race. So yeah, I'm not surprised. This also reminds me of the Chrissy video where she deleted it, and she said that there was a light-skinned girl who was kind of going off and saying that dark-skinned women were mean to her because she walked in the store with these goggles on, and then a darker-skinned woman in the store was like, "Only light-skinned bitches," or something along the lines of that. And then that lighter-skinned woman got mad, and not only did Chrissy come for her type 4 hair and start making fun of her type 4 hair, but I noticed that she was dismissing and minimizing the fact that there are lighter-skinned black women who directly have people calling out their skin tones. And so you can't say that it's not based on color, because in a lot of the stories that we share on this channel, I share stories where people are directly calling out their skin tones. They're directly calling out the fact that maybe they are a mixed black woman instead of a fully unambiguous black woman. And so at this point, we can't all be lying. Out of all the story times on here, we can't all be lying. I mean, I can understand if some people think that some of the stuff that people say is exaggerated, but 20,000 people at this point who can relate to this channel, and also out of all of these story times, you think we're all just making this stuff up in our minds? What do you ladies think? Have you ever randomly been cussed out in public? Have you ever had someone directly bring up your skin tone? I know that I have. Have you ever had someone stereotype you based on your racial background, or they view you differently once they find out that you are a mixed black woman? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.